Hey, today I'm gonna look at a new Cub Cadet that I picked up for free because it won't run. I think I spied a mouse nest in it, so we'll check it out. Here it is, LT1024. So the guy that had it before me, removed the top here of the flywheel, but way back in here, I think I see some icky stuff. So I'm gonna pull the cover, see what we got. First things first, I'm gonna pull off the hood. There's a headlight connector right down here. Pop that off, and then you just get it. There's some screws or bolts down here, and you just have to kind of finagle it. There you go. With a 3/8 socket, you got one bolt here, second bolt there, and my third bolt is missing. There we go. Fourth bolt right there. And you don't have to get these all the way out. You can get them mostly out. Two more hidden ones I didn't realize. One right under here. And the other side. Doesn't have to come out all the way either. Ooh, that looks much more promising. Start wiggling. It wants to come. I don't know, maybe there's one in here. No, but now it's coming. All right. Voila! Look at that. That's nasty. I'm gonna go get a garbage can here. Start putting that in there. I guess that's not too bad. It's kind of just a bunch of moss. That's weird. Usually it's a bunch of string and all sorts of nasty stuff. This is not bad at all. Let's pull off this carburetor. Let's see what we got. Gosh, just in case, I'm gonna clamp it. You never know if there's some kind of a vacuum or something. Trying to pull all that in. On each side, there's one on the top and one on the bottom. All right, left side is out. Ooh, this thing smells like fish. Gross. What is going on? Maybe something did live in there for quite a while. Let's see, get this bottom guy first. There we go, that's a little easier. And the right side is now off. All right. So we've got, down below under here, we've got our solenoid. We just have to unplug that. There we go, there's the wire there. And that's just the linkage for the, I think that's the throttle one. Just enough to allow that to come out to where we can pull that out. And it'll have a nice clean spot on it so we can tell where to reconnect it. And there's a hose behind it, a little breather hose right here, this guy. And it looks like we got one more linkage piece here. Can kind of turn this. Let's see. There we go, just kind of pried it out of there. All right, it's ready to go clean. Okie dokie. This thing's pretty gross. Bunch of icky all around it. So we're gonna wipe a bunch of the dirt off. I always use compressed air after I get some initial stuff done, taken apart, cleaned. So don't worry, don't freak out if you, oh no, it's too dirty. No, I'm gonna clean it. All the stuff around here that's gonna get into the inside will be cleaned off. It's not gonna make its way into the engine. Don't stress. We're gonna use a 7/16. There are 4. All right. Okay, to get those studs out, use a 5/32. Little itty bitty guy. And that's going to try to make your gasket come up. You don't want that to happen unless you have a new gasket. Oh, I see, there's, maybe it needs to come up. Let me try this one here. Yeah, there's a bigger piece down there, I think. I'll show you what I'm talking about here. As you loosen this, the gasket starts coming up on its own because there is a bigger piece on these studs that locks into place. So carefully try to get that up. I'm going to use a utility knife, help it along a little bit. And then all along this back side. There we go. And you can pull these studs out. And then let that guy come out right there. We just have to remember to put that one back or else it won't be lined up right. So yeah, now you've got your, like the intake all off of there. So now we're ready to actually clean it. Well, there's my part number. 698494 3Z01. 698494. Well, shoot, no, I actually also have 266 571 T571 minus 571. I don't know. Other side. Looks pretty clean inside there. Not totally sure. Oh, I guess that just sits. So you can see the solenoid in there, the little plunger. That's what the solenoid pushes up to stop the fuel. And then this piece sits right on top of that. That washer doesn't look quite right. That O-ring, it's kind of huge and it's fallen off. I'm guessing that's due to its age. All right, so I'll scrape some of that out of there. Yep, I will blow all that out with compressed air. First, I am just going to wipe a little bit of that off. Because if you don't wipe any of that off, that's just going to shoot back in your face when you do the compressed air. Okay, I'm just going to take this pin out. It's pressed on that end, so I can tell it's only going to go out one way. Set that aside, pull off the float. And as I did that, my needle fell off right here. Got a little bit of gunk on there. can see there's a couple little marks. Little, yeah. More fuel in there. Well, let's pull that off. All right, 2 screws. All right. So there's not much to this piece, but you can see through those. I'll try to take a little pick, see if I can pop them out. Oh yes, they popped out quite easily. Looks like they both say 114. But yeah, these are just some jets here. They're big openings. I'm going to use my twisty tie just to push through, scrape out anything that might be in there, and I'll beat the dead horse and say I'm going to use compressed air too. All right. So now we're going to take off this little butterfly valve. Two screws. The reason we take that off is because you can see there's stuff inside here, and there are little gaskets and things. Slide that guy out. You can see there's another screw. We're going to take that one out as well. Just all sorts of stuff in there. So that piece looks pretty good. You can see all the holes still and everything. I think that piece is okay. These little, I think they're called emulsion tubes. We're going to clean those out as well with our twisty tie. They've got 3 holes, 3 holes that go through 90 degrees from each other. So you clean them out this way. One, two, three, and then you clean it out. You turn it 90 and you clean it the other way. And yes, after I clean those out, I will use compressed air. I'll give you a close-up shot of those little holes. Whoop, I didn't even make it in there. There you go. So every little spot in here, I'm gonna use compressed air. That little black gasket there that's got 4 holes in it, I'm not pulling it off, but I'm gonna make sure that I don't launch it somewhere when I'm using compressed air. Okay, it got much cleaner. I wanted to show everybody this gasket that's inside did pop out. So it landed on the ground. I saw where it went. I'm wiping it down. I'm gonna put it back in, but it looks in very good shape. So that is nice. And I also wanted you to see I am using a nice clean surface here. It just lays in like that. Just make sure you put it the right way. There's little holes and big holes. They all need to line up. So this piece here, we've got to make sure that you can see all the way through there. You can. Once again though, compressed air, blow it out. I just blew it out with my mouth right there. That worked pretty good. No, there was nothing in there. You'll be able to see if there's some gunk in there. So now I will set that back in there. And screw it back in. And then we're going to slide this back in. I just wiped it down pretty good. Make sure you get all the chunks of dirt off of there. And then there's only one side it can go in. There's a hole from the outside. Slide it through. A little bit of gunk in there. I just used a little screwdriver to pry it out, wiping down this plate. Okay. Go. Like that. Okay. Nice and gentle. Get them going. Once we tighten these up, we're gonna verify the linkage is right. As far as just making sure that this closes correctly, that looks right. It looks like it's good. All right, nice and clean. Gonna put this little guy back on here. Now I got the jets. All right, just dropping these right inside these holes. Gonna use this guy to line it up. All right, those both went in all right. They look good. Now this piece, I need to find a good O-ring to match up with that. So I've got my handy dandy Harbor Freight O-ring assortment. I picked out an O-ring that looks pretty dang close to the one I pulled out. The one I pulled out is a little bit twisted, probably isn't doing a great job of sealing anything out. And this one looks much nicer. So it appears that it just sits on here, and then when this sits in like that, and once you put the bowl on and secure it into place, it pushes against it. So it keeps that seal. So you don't have to have some crazy tight fitting one. It just needs to be able to seal between these two pieces of plastic. So now we're looking at the float here. Just wiping off any little pieces. Little pieces of sand and dirt. It's pretty clean. Looks pretty good. Same thing with the needle. We'll just try to see if there's anything on the tip. Anything obvious. That looks pretty good as well. So this just fits up underneath. It slides like that. I'll leave that part off for a second so that we can get this in. All right, that lays there. This pin, remember, has a little wedge on it, so it can only go in one way. Just do a slight amount of wiggling. Not sure why these seem to be difficult sometimes when it should be pretty easy. But just keep trying. There we go. Got it. Just be gentle with it and it'll go. So while messing with this guy a little bit, I realized that the O-ring was right stuck to that. So I wiped it down a little bit. Didn't want to damage it too much. Get all that flaky stuff off it, and then put it on over everything. It just fits in that little groove. Fit right in there. And now I'm going to go blow this thing out better with compressed air. I actually swapped out the O-ring with one a little smaller so that it would fit snugly on there, because it's still gonna seal up on there. But now I realized when you look in here, you take this piece and it actually pushes on and stays. So you want that O-ring not to just fall off too as you go and put everything back in. So now the only thing we need to make sure is the direction of the solenoid. So let me remember which way. We got the fuel here, which should be right in front. So it's going to go off to the left, I believe was the way I did it. So now we'll go ahead and figure out how to get all this stuff back together. All right. So this goes down like this. Gasket goes on after, at least the way that it was on there initially. Okay, once again, 5/32. Crank down, not super tight, but get them snug. Now we put this gasket on. And now this part goes on. And the two holes at the top there, you can see lining them up with those two holes. Then we've got these nuts here. One thing I need to show, this piece here has to go in here, and if that is out when you put back this intake, you can't. So if you use the 7/32 and just undo this part, then you've got that whole piece. Where now you can just get it on there like that. And then this other piece will come through and get that going. These linkages are a bit weird. It's taken me a couple tries, but if you can get it like this, I believe this is the correct way. So you just start threading it right here in this, and then while you're putting it up, just make sure that you get the back hose on. Okay, that'll hold it a little bit. And plug in the solenoid so you don't forget. We'll start a bolt to kind of hold it in place while we verify that everything's in the right spot. Do one more up here. Not going all the way in yet, just kind of holding. So we'll hook up this guy. Guess it makes more sense to go like that. And then you can kind of pull them through. Gotta hold it kind of tight because it's wanting to come back. All right, I think we're looking pretty good there. I'm gonna test my choke. Okay, test my throttle. Okay, I think we're good. Just get the other two bolts in and attach the fuel, and your carburetor is cleaned and ready to go. That's tight, that's good. All right, hooking up the fuel. I got an issue with my battery. I've been charging it, but it's not taking a charge for some reason. So I'm gonna throw a different battery on there and see if it'll try to start. Let's see if this thing will start up. Battery's not liking it yet. Okay, we got the jump pack on here. Let's see if this will start. I charged up the battery, so let's get a little starting fluid. It started. Good deal. I'm going to check if we're getting fuel. So I'm gotta make sure that the fuel pump is working and that the fuel's getting to the pump. So come on here, clamp. There we go. All right. Well, it just dripped all over my finger. So I'm going to say fuel is getting to the pump at least. But now I got to check this side. Pull it off right here. Up at the carb. Yeah, there's fuel there too. Shoot, just spurted right out. I'm gonna pour a little gas directly in there. Not a ton. Okay, I am hooking up a separate hose. Tell you what, better shut this off first. Hooking up a second hose with a separate tank of gas. All right, so I have my gas tank down there. I've got this extra hose here. Of course, that had a bunch of gunk on it. All right, looks good. And then just hook it up to here. And this is pretty new gas. So as long as that's making it in there, this might start, if that's the problem. Well, sure seems like that's a fuel issue. All right, I just used some nice brand new hose and a lot more of it than the first time. So I know that I'm in the fuel tank good enough. So let's go again. And give it a spray. One more time. Well, good old battery time. Okay, I did a solenoid delete. I swapped the solenoid in this engine with one I had in a different engine where someone had already just cut it out because I tested it and the solenoid on that carburetor was not working. I turned the key on, nothing was clicking, the plunger was not going up and down. So I'm sorry I didn't get that on video for you, but I will show you what I did so that you know what to do with that plunger and the solenoid. So it took a 13 millimeter skinny wrench. Some of the wrenches are too fat for these. You got to get in there between there. Not always super easy, but this is what the solenoid looks like up close. And I don't know, I think that I haven't tested it. I don't know if it's this or if it's the wiring to it, but this thing, when power goes on, it's supposed to go in and then fuel can flow. But when this is out, it's blocking the channel so fuel won't flow. So all I did was take another one of these. Someone had cut this tip off of it, like down to where you can't see the black and a little bit of that silver. And I just used that, and that will help me know if that's the problem or not. If it starts right now, then that was the problem. So then I just need to order a new solenoid. I'm guessing they're not more than 15 or 20 bucks tops. Hopefully not. All right, let's try it. runs, that was the problem. I could tell it wasn't getting fuel, but I kept thinking maybe it was the fuel pump, or maybe one of the fuel lines was kind of clogged, so I'm glad that I remembered to check the solenoid. Now I just need to order one before I get vapor lock and it fills the cylinder with gas. So, because that can happen. So thank you for watching. Bye-bye.